All right. Today we're going to talk about comparing and ordering rational and irrational or real numbers. We can put real numbers on a number line, even though irrational numbers have a decimal expansion that goes on forever and never repeats. We can approximate it. We learned about that yesterday. And then we can put that approximately on the number line. And that's kind of what we're going to work on today, comparing and putting numbers in order. And the number line is a really good strategy to use for those things. So you have an example of a number line with all kinds of numbers here. A negative decimal, a negative fraction, a couple of negative square roots, a fraction, a square root, and then an irrational number that has a pattern but not an exact repeat. So let's just jump right in. We're going to go here to this fill each box with the correct symbol, greater than, less than, or equal to. The first thing we need to do, and I'm going to create a text box over here, and it's going to have instructions in it. You might want to do this too. The first thing we need to do is change all values to decimals. Okay, so we're going to change all the values to decimals. Then compare. So then compare. All right. So here on A, we have the square root of 3 and we have 1. 1 is already in the decimal form, but I'm going to go over to my calculator and do the square root of 3. Square root 3. And look, that's about 1.7. So here I go back to my notes. 1.7 I'm going to put right there. So the square root of 3 is about 1.7. How does that compare? 1.7 is greater than, less than, or equal to 1. If you were thinking greater than, you are correct. And I'm just using the greater than on my keyboard that's down with the period and the comma. Okay, next one. 1.5 is already a decimal. Let's put the square root of 2 in the calculator and get a decimal. That gives me 1.4 approximately. So here I go, 1.4. And how does 1.5 compare to the square root of 2? 1.5 is greater than, less than, or equal to. If you were thinking greater than, you are correct. Next one, 3 compared to the square root of 12. 3 is already a decimal. I'm going to put the square root of 12 in my calculator. Here we go. I got I'm going to call that 3.5. 3.46, but if I round it, that's 3.5. And that's good enough because 3 is greater than, less than, or equal to the square root of 12, which is about 3.5. If you were thinking less than, you are correct. Okay, this next one, I need to put both values in the calculator to turn to decimals. So 20 divided by 9. I'm going to do that one first. 20 divided by 9. And the other one, I'm going to do it while I'm here. Square root of 6. 20 divided by 9 is 2.2 repeated. Square root of 6 is 2.4. So here, 20 divided by 9. 2.222 dot, dot, dot. And the square root of 6 is about 2.4. So I put those there, and I can compare what goes in here, greater than, less than, or equal to. If you said less than, you are correct. Okay, next one, negative square root of 7. Okay, negative square root 7, enter. That's negative 2.6. I'm going to call that. So put that right here. Negative 2.6. Good. Oh, but look, that's what I'm comparing it to. Are those exactly equal? I don't know. Let me go back to my calculator, because the square root of 7, negative square root of 7, is not rational, and 2.6 is rational. Well, look, there's more to the negative negative 2.6457, negative 2.6, 6.457. Ah, now that makes a difference. If I were ignoring the negative, I'd have 2.6457 compared to 2.6. Which one is greater? This one, because this one would just have zeros after the 6. So 6.457 is bigger than just 6,000. But they're negative, and I need to talk to you a little bit about negatives, which hopefully we talked about during the starter. But I'm going to do it again here. I am going to put negative, oh, I need a text box, negative 3, right, well, I'm going to do 0 here, actually. 0 right in the middle. Then I'm going to do, come on, text box, negative, let's say 2 right here. And I'm going to do positive 2. Come on, give me a text box. Why? There we go. 2. Okay. So I've got 0 and negative 2 and 2. If I want to compare negative 1, that would be, I'm going to draw here, make it a little bit bigger for a dot. Negative 1 would be about here, wouldn't it? That would be about negative 1. And then here's negative 2. I'm going to put another dot there. Here's negative 2 right there. This box. Negative 2 right there. Which one is greater? When we have a number line, the greater numbers are always to the right. The numbers that have less value are always to the left. But isn't 2 bigger than 1? How come that's to the left? Because it's negative, and they go backwards. So this is what I want you to remember about negative numbers. I'm going to change this to red because it's super important to remember. The number, let's see, nope. Numbers that are more negative have less value. Numbers that are more negative have less value. So which one of these, going back to my purple now, which one of these is more negative? That would be this one on the left, negative square root of 7, and that means it has less value, so there we go, less than goes there. Okay, whew, that was kind of a lot of work on that one. Oh, numbers, not number. There we go. And here, 9.5 compared to pi squared. Go to the calculator. You have a button that's pi. Right here, kind of next to the 4, pi. And then right here under where it says main, you have a squared. That means take the number I put in there and square it. And see, pi squared. And here we have it. 9.86. So I'm going to call that 9.9. I'm going to put it right here, 9.9, and now we can compare it. 9.5 is greater than, less than, or equal to. If you were saying less than, you are correct. Okay, now I'm going to show you how I would put these numbers in order from, let's see, you're planning an art exhibit. One of the artists is a former math teacher. I don't know why that's relevant, but now you know. Each artist sent you the heights of their paintings, and you want to display the paintings from shortest to tallest. Show how you displayed the paintings. So what's the first thing we want to do? Change all the values to decimals. So I'm going to put a text box for every one of these. 1.6, and I'll show you why in a second. Square root of 7, I'm putting in the calculator. And I get 2.6. We should have known that from the last one. Square root of 5. Square root 5 in the calculator. 2.2. 2 feet. That's just a 2. And 2.8. That's already a decimal. And the square root of 2. Some of you might remember this. We've done it a few times, but we'll put it in the calculator for those of us that don't. That's 1.4. 1.4. Okay. So there we go. We have a decimal value for each one of those painting heights. Now we just need to figure out which one's the shortest. Well, let's see. This one starts with a 1, 2, 2, 2. That one starts with a 1. What's less, 1.6 or 1.4? That would be 1.4. I'm going to drop that 1.4 right there so that I know that I used it. But I am not going to put 1.4 in the box. What I'm going to put in the box is the number that they gave me. So I'm going to pull up my square root here. Square root 2. When they ask us to put numbers in order from least to greatest or greatest to least, they didn't say put the decimal approximations in order. They said put these numbers in order. So I'm going to keep that decimal approximation, but I'm going to put the number they gave me instead of my decimal approximation in my actual answer. Okay, next I'm going to do 1.6, which was actually the value that they gave me. So there we go. I'm going to just drop that one right in. What's next? Looks like we're into the 2's. This would be 2.0, so that's next. There's 2. Next would be 2.2, but that's not the number they gave me. That's the decimal approximation. That would be the square root of 5. So I'm going to put square root 5 in there. There we go. Then next, 2.6, which was the square root of 7. Square root. Oh, nope, it put it in there. Delete that. Go here. Square. I thought that was too easy. Square root 7. And then 2.8, which was already a decimal, so I can just drop that right in there. And there we have our list from least to greatest painting heights. Perfect. This next section, we want to write these numbers in order from least to greatest. I can just turn them to decimals and do that, but I'm going to show you how I would do it on a number line. Actually, yeah, I am. I'm going to do this on a number line. So I'm going to choose a shape, get my number line here. And first thing I want to do before I start my putting numbers on my number line is figure out about where these numbers are. It looks like I got a 3 point something and a 3 point something. Pi, we know, is about 3.14. So I'm going to put that right there by pi. And then the square root of 11. I don't know that off the top of my head. I know it's between 3 and 4, but that's not going to be much help. Okay, it's about 3.3. So I'm going to put that right there, 3.3. All right. So looks like all these numbers are between 3 and 3.5. So here's a text box. Here's 3. And I'm going to put over here 3.5. And I'll put those above the line a little bit. So then I can just kind of estimate here in the number line. So I got 3.14. I'm going to go to my drawing and put a dot. Let's see, I got 1, 2, 3, 4. So about here. And I'm going to call this, I'm going to put a text box there and call it pi, because that's the number they gave me. They did not give me 3.14. They gave me pi, so I'm going to label my dot right there. Okay, then square root of 11 is about 3.3, so dot again. And here I go, 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, about right there, except what am I going to label it? I'm going to label it the square root of 11. Square root 11. And I'm going to put that right over that red dot. Okay, then I got 3.4. Well, that was 1, 2, 3. Here's a dot. I got to do drawing again. And I can label that one 3.4 because they gave me 3.4 for that. So there we go. And 3.1. Ooh, that's going to be very close to pi, which is 3.14. But what would I put here if I was going to add another digit? That would be a 0. And 10 compared to 14, which one's bigger? That's right, 14. So my 3.1 needs to go to the left of pi a little bit because it's a little bit less. And I'm going to put my text box down below here, 3.1, to label that, and I'll move my pi over that way a little bit so you can tell the difference there. And there I have those 4 points on my number line, and I can just type them up now, read them from left to right. I got 3.1, and then I've got pi, which I'm going to use my symbol for. Oops, maybe. Then I've got the square root of 11, which I'm also going to use a symbol for, square root 11. And then arrow out of that, comma, space, 3.4. There we go. There's my list. There's my values from least to greatest. That's my answer. I wonder if I can put a box around that. I'm going to do that so that you can tell that that is my answer. There we go. All right. This next one wants the numbers in order from greatest to least. Oh, I left a value here for my last little attempt at this. Okay, from greatest to least. So the first thing I want to do, turn them all to decimals. Negative square root 17. Negative square root 17 is negative 4.1. So, text box, put in my square root. Oh, no, I'm not square root. Delete. Negative 4.1. Silly me. Okay, then 5/3. 5 divided by 3 is 1.6 repeated. So, 1.666 ... Negative 17 fourths. Ooh, here we go. Negative 17 divided by 4. Except I didn't get the 1 in there for my 17, but now I did. Negative 4.25. Negative 4.25. Here we go. Then the square root of 9. That one I have memorized. You might as well. Positive. Square root of 9 is 3. So that was easy peasy. Negative 1.7. I'm going to call that negative 1.7. That already is a decimal. And the square root of 3. Let's see what we've got here. Square root 3 is about 1.7. 1.7. So now I have all my values. Now I need to remember I'm going greatest to least. So I want to look at my positive numbers first. This is negative, this is negative, this is negative. So these lower ones, they're my positive. I got about a 1.7. Ooh, it's actually 1.6 repeated though. A 3 and a 1.7. So what's my greatest one? That would be this 3. I'm going to put it right there. But what am I going to put right here? I'm going to put the square root of 9. Awesome. Okay, next lowest number. I had 1.7 and 1.6 repeated for my positives. I'm going with 1.7 is the next lowest. But is that what they gave me? No. They gave me the square root of 3. And I hope you're getting faster at using the tools here on Kami like I am. Okay, then my last positive was 1.6 repeated. Right there, only I'm calling that 5/3. If you go to your symbols, you can put in a fraction if you choose, where is it? Right here. A over B. It's right next to the approximately equal to. So I've got 5/3. And we can put that right there. 5/3. Now we're going to the negatives. Now which negative is going to be the greatest value? Remember we said Numbers that are more negative have less value. So our most negative number is going to go down here by the least. So I could figure that out easier, actually. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to start from here. Negative 4.25, which was negative 17 fourths. So I'm going to type that. Negative, and then I'm going to go get a fraction. Here it is. 17 down 4. Negative 17 fourths. And actually I'm going to put the negative here because it makes it longer and then it's like more obvious. So I'm going to get rid of that one. Okay. So negative 17 over 4. Then what's the next most negative? Looks like negative 4.1, which was actually negative square root 17. So here we go. Put my function out here. And first I'm going to type negative and then square root 17. Beautiful. Put it right there. And the last one, negative 1.7, which was already a decimal. Going to drop it right there. And there we go. Greatest to least. 3, or square root of 9, square root of 3, 5/3, negative 1.7, negative 17, negative 17 over 4. Negative square root 17, I should have said. Beautiful. Now, one more thing we're going to do. Order these from least to greatest. I'm going to pull a number line again, guys. This is a smart way to do this. And you can just draw a number line super easy. And then change your values so you know what range you need here. Negative square root 16. Well, I know that the square root of 16 is 4. So that's going to be negative 4. Negative 16 over 6 I'm going to do here. Negative 16 divided by 6. Enter. Negative 2.6 repeated. I'm putting that right here. Negative 2.666 dot dot dot. Square root of 8. Square root 8. Enter. 2.8. About 2.7. 8. Right there. Here I've got 2.6. That already is a decimal, so I'm going to put that right there. And negative square root 10. I closed my decimals calculator. And now I'm back. Decimals calculator. I needed the negative square root of 10. Enter negative 3.2, I'm going to call that. So, negative 3.2. Okay. Oop, I need to move that whole thing. All right. So it looks like on my number line, I've got negatives down to negative 4 and positives up to 2.8. So, text box, I'm going to put right here. I'm going to put my labels down here. Negative 4, not 45, 4. Negative 4. Negative 3, negative 2, negative 1. I'm going to put 0 about here. See how I can kind of just eyeball where it goes. And then I need a 1, a 2, and a 3 over here. A 3. Okay. I'm going to move the 0 over a wee bit. Okay, there we go. So I got negative 4, 0, and 3 on my number line. Negative 4, that would be the negative square root 16. So here we go. Function negative square root. Here we go. 16. That goes right about there. I'm going to put a dot there, actually. That would be the smart thing to do before I label it. Okay, that's my most negative. And then, all right, negative square root 16. Then, and I don't even have to do this in order. I can go negative 2.666. That is going to be about, here's negative 2, so a little bit this way. And that was actually the negative 16 over 6. So, text box. Function. I'm going to type a negative. And then the fraction 16 down 6. Good. Put it right there by that dot. Next I have 2.8. Oh, that's going to be very close to the 3 here. So I'm going to put that right here. And that was the square root of 8. So I need a text box. Square root 8. Beautiful. Goes right there by that dot. Next, 2.6. So that's easy because that already was a decimal. So draw. If that's 2.8, this can be 2.6. Text box. I'm going to put the label down here so we have room. 2.6. I'm going to kind of move it up close to that dot. There we go. Then I have negative square root 10. That's negative 3.2. This was negative 2.6. So negative 3.2, got to do draw, is going to be about here. Negative 3.2, so that's negative square root 10. Negative square root 10. And I'm going to put that right there by that number where I got it. And then I can just write these in order from least to greatest in a text box right here. Start with negative square root 16, negative, I'm just going to do this, SQRT 16, just to do time. Okay, negative square root 16, then negative 16 over 6. Then my next one is, oh no, I forgot the negative square root of 10, because that was down below. So negative square root SQRT, really? And it turns out I shouldn't put a period there either, because then it makes me think that it means the square root of 0.16. So SQRT 10, comma, negative 16 over 6. There we go. Then my next is 2.6, comma, space, and square root SQRT 8. Square root of 8. And there's my answer. I'm going to put a box around it. Actually, that's a line. You know. Ah! Oh, shoot me now. How do you undo? Do we have an undo? Probably not. No. Well, you're going to have to scroll back and see. But it was negative square root of 16, negative 10, negative 16 over 6, 2.6, and square root of 8. And then, you know, try putting a line over yours instead of, a box around yours instead of a line on it. And that's how you compare and order rational and irrational numbers. Do your practice, do your best. We're going to review tomorrow. We will have a test on Friday. Thanks, guys. You're awesome.